always when you embroider, keep behind your work here, okay? So I'm going to start, this is where I'm starting, and come up, excuse me, and bring my thread here, and you just put a stitch down. This is the back stitch, and this is perfect for lettering. Like that. Move your hoop around as needed, and I'm going to come here. Okay, see how I came, there we are, and then I'm going to go back, hence the back stitch. I'm going to go back and connect these two stitches here, just like this. See how nice that comes together? Turn your hoop as needed and continue on the same way. Now, when you're doing a back stitch, you want to keep your stitches fairly even and tight. Okay, what I want to show you guys now, and I know I didn't finish this here, but you guys will. I want to show you how to finish off this away knot so you don't have this. Now, when you're finished or you run out of thread, you want to take your scissors, your handy dandy scissors, and just turn it over. Okay, and make sure you're cutting at the right spot. Snip that off like that. Just like that, you're going to snip that off. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can rethread your needle and pull it through, or if you want, you can take these, separate them, and tie a knot. That's the easiest way to do it, and some people will debate you on this. Old school embroiderers don't really care for the knot on the back, but if you do it neatly and properly, you're okay. Sometimes I will rethread my needle and catch onto some of this thread here and pull it through and do a knot. So I do both just to keep it secure, okay? And then turn it over, and this will come right off. And then no more knot on top of your hoop. Okay, our next stitch is a lazy daisy stitch, and you'll see this one a lot. When you see little teardrop shapes like this, it's probably a lazy daisy stitch. Very traditional stitch, one of the oldest ones, and there's a good one to have. It's a variation on a chain stitch. And a chain stitch we're not going to do today, but you can look that up in a book that you can get from your library, or you can look it up online as well. So I did one for you here, and that's a lazy daisy. You've seen these before, I bet. We did our away knot here, and I'll just show you how we did this. Okay, this one I like to call my lazy daisy stitch, because this is just a different method that I learned how to do that was a little easier for me. So what you're going to do is bring your needle up at the top of your petal here and make a little baby stitch, like so. And then you're going to come down at the bottom point of your petal, bring that through, and without piercing any of the fabric, bring your needle through that little baby stitch there. Okay, and you pull it through like so, and bring your thread around and put it back down that bottom stitch in about the same hole or pretty darn close. Lazy daisy, right there. Okay, so now we're going to do a satin stitch, and a satin stitch is exactly how it sounds. It is a series of stitches put together nice and close, and really when you're done, it looks shiny and it looks like satin. Okay, so we're going to do this big flower right in here, and I just want to point out that I have these guys right in here, but honestly, sometimes I just put those in there just so I can see what it's going to look like on here so it doesn't look so naked on the fabric. But I generally go over those, and I'll show you. So when you're doing a satin stitch, you really just want to follow the pattern here, or the shape. I'm going to start in the middle of this petal and bring it through. By the way, I'm using 2 strands for this satin stitch. If you go any more, it gets really bulky, so 2 strands is just about right. So I'm going to do that. And you just go straight down, and then you're going to come right nice and close to it, like so. And especially for a flower, come on down right into that same hole down there, or pretty darn close. Okay, and see how your petal, I'm going to get my pointer here, see how your petal moves up here? So will your needle and thread. You're going to follow the shape, like so. And you just keep moving on, moving on, moving on. And that's a satin stitch. And you can use this stitch with pretty much any shape you want. Okay, so next we're going to do the French knot. As you can see, I have a little French knot right there. These are very good stitches to learn. They're very versatile. You can use them in your flowers, in the middle of your flowers for a cluster, maybe one just in here, and also to dot your eyes and do punctuation. And anywhere you see one of these little dots on this particular pattern will be a French knot. And if you see little dots somewhere on a pattern, it's more than likely a French knot. Okay, I'm using 3 strands for this one, and we put our away knot in there. As you can see, I already did one, so I'm just going to continue on to the next one here. Right over here, so your needle comes right up on that dot, just like that, pull through, okay? Make sure your fabric and everything is nice and tight. It's very important, and it will ensure success for your French knot. Okay, so you're going to pull this over with your other hand, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, all depends. Take your needle underneath your thread, okay, and kind of hold it with your forefinger there, and you're going to wrap your thread around your needle. Okay, let's do that again. Your thread goes around the needle, your needle doesn't go around the thread, if that makes sense. Okay, so you've got this wrapped around once. You're going to pull it back and straight up and down, go nice and tight into the same hole or pretty darn close. Straight up and down, hold this out of the way, and pull. And it should come together into a pretty little French knot. And when you do these, they're really quite nice. They'll look like a little tiny rose almost. So if it looks like a little tiny rose or a little tiny flower, you've done it correctly. And that's a French knot.